Welcome to this episode of Manifested. I'm your host, Pax. This is the show where we go deep inside the minds and the lives of people who have already manifested their dreams. Sit back, relax, and let's manifest. To the listener, or if you're watching on YouTube right now, welcome to Manifested. I'm your host, Pax. This is where we dive deep inside the minds and the lives of people who have already manifested some insane things, and then that are in the process of also manifesting new results, entrepreneurially, spiritually, physically, emotionally, in your relationships. Ben Bright is our guest today. I've known Ben for a number of years. He always inspires me. Whenever we connect, Ben inspires me like no other. I mean, there's other people that inspire me, but Ben's got a very unique energy, and I'm really pleased and honored to have him here on the podcast. I'm just going to run them through things you've done. Ben is currently working on a really, really cool project with Smart Utensils. He's created an unbelievable company. They're doing unbelievable things for the environment, and I'd love for you to get into that a little bit more. And aside from this, he's very into energy, and we're going to focus on energy for the next 60 minutes. So let's dive right in. Ben, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast. I haven't talked to you in a little while. So what's new, brother?
Well, firstly, thanks, man. That was quite the introduction. I appreciate that. So for everybody listening, it's a two-way feeling when it comes to our conversations. Every time we talk, man, it's always super enlightening and eye-opening. So I appreciate that introduction. What's new, man? Nothing. Just figuring out a good balance between jumping back into school with this whole law school thing starting, and also figuring out a good balance between these new lockdowns and how we're attacking with the straws and Smart Utensils. Most notably, we're going through a rebrand right now, and the rebrand is going to actually unlock a whole new product set. So we're going to go from just these biodegradable straws, as you're aware, to forks, knives, spoons, bags, plates, sponges, just all organic, natural, biodegradable products. So it's a really cool time, but super challenging. Considering, especially in Montreal here, we just went into this second phase of complete lockdown. But with great challenges come great opportunities. So I just look at it as, it's just a test of what's capable, what's possible, and what we're capable of.
Man, I love that. Can you explain to the listener or the viewer right now what exactly EcoSmart is? Because it's innovative, it's disruptive, it's going to change the world, no doubt about it. We're not going to be using paper straws forever, and we're not going to be using, what is it, metal? What do we, or for utensils?
Yeah,
we're not.
Yeah, we go to metal, plastics.
Your company, you guys build rice straws, and you guys can distribute at scale. Like if like McDonald's or Wendy's or Tim Hortons or Starbucks was like, we want to screw plastic, screw paper. We want to do our straws all rice, all biodegradable, full 100%. Could you supply that?
Yeah, well, I mean, McDonald's, they use about 91 million straws a day globally. So I would have a little bit of issue there. But absolutely. I mean, our factories can produce about 3.5 million straws every 21 days. And in saying that, that's quite a lot of straws. But for the extremely large players, all we would have to do is scale up, which is no issue. So if anybody who is currently working at McDonald's, Burger King, and you're listening to this, don't contact me. Phil will give you my 100%. Information.
Yeah. But, if we have anybody listening right now that works at a fast food chain, North America, or actually fuck it, globally, and you think it's time for a change, no more plastic, no more paper, hit Ben Bright up on Instagram, hit Pax Official up on Instagram. I'll collect my referral fee. We will not forget about that.
We will never forget about the referral fee.
we'll fucking hustle some straws to the world, man. But what you guys are doing is amazing, because like plastic is just a killer for the environment. Am I correct?
Absolutely, man. And more so, not just the environment, like the marine life. I don't quote me on this, but there was a study done that like every single seagull that had an autopsy done was found with plastic in it if it was within a certain radius of a coastline, and that was globally, and that was done by I don't know if it was the World Health Organization. Don't quote me again, but I remember reading this, and it was just shocking. And you see the pictures of these whales or fish or turtles that wash up on the oceans, and it's all plastic related, more or less. So what we're really doing is trying to eliminate the plastic going into the ocean, trying to provide an alternative that doesn't suck. And there's no pun intended there, but paper straws just genuinely suck. It's not me saying
suck.
that.
I hate plastic straws. I mean, I hate paper straws. I hate plastic too, but like if like just ignoring everything else, plastic is better than paper. Paper is just annoying, but plastic just is terrible for like literally everything.
It's terrible. And like the thing is that we feel like we're making strides by moving into paper, but I have this theory that in 2-3 years, our great friends, the social activists, will be complaining about how paper still contributes to deforestation and things 100%. Of that nature. So there's only so long and so far the paper's going to go. And to be very honest with you, and I mean I'm always honest with you, but to say it how it is that the paper just genuinely sucks, and the conversation ends there. I've never met somebody who was just like, I can't wait to use a paper straw tonight. So what we're doing is we're eliminating the plastics. We're providing a solution, a value proposition to the fact that the paper sucks. And it's cool, and it's 100% natural and organic. So from that standpoint, I think we're onto something really cool. And it's sad because before the coronavirus broke out, we had an awesome deal lined up with the Marriott Hotel. We had a trial order that came from them in Costa Rica. So when you say globally, we own the rights to North, South, and Central America on our factory. So our goal is to go global, not just local here in Montreal. It sucks. Because tourism is down, because people going to restaurants is down. The food industry is hurting badly, and so most people's focus is not on the straws they're using right now, but rather on just staying above water.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, my mom she works for Sunwing, and she organizes about I think 80 flight attendants for the airline, and she was just explaining to me the impact downstream, the ripple effect of COVID, how it impacts literally the whole tourism economy, that whole industry. And then just thinking how you're a part of that industry in such a small way, but for you, it's the main way. It's the huge, it's the only way. And so it's really interesting seeing the impact of COVID-19, how it has on business. But dude, I love what you're doing. I literally am one of your biggest supporters. I've known you for years, and it's so cool. I'm 26. How old are you?
I'm 25. Yeah.
25. And you're doing big business now. This is serious business. You have tangible product. You have that tangible product near you. Where do you hold it?
We have a warehouse here, and I'll just touch on that. It's interesting because you say talking about having tangible product. Initially, we were planning to just move container loads to this big business style, which would be B2B directly. But because of COVID, we've had to pivot and now focus on this whole new online branding thing. And so in a very short period of time, we put up a website and Instagram, nothing high quality. I'm proud of the work we've done, but not great. And we're coming out with a V2 in November, and it's going to change. I'm telling you, when you're going to see it, you're going to flip, because it is going to be extremely sexy. That's such a little tech feel to it, and it's going to be the e-commerce store for eco supplies. And we're actually changing the name from EcoSmart Utensils to EcoSmart Supply. Yeah, so we're going to be moving into all kinds.
Smart.
We're going to be opening up the doors.
Wow, you're okay. First of all, your impact is going to be way bigger than initially anticipated, dude. I love that pivot. Who conceived of that idea? That is so smart. To the listener, I'm not going to bother re-explaining that, but how did you manage that pivot? Who thought of that idea, and how are you executing that? Because that's relatable to anyone, especially in business right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, there's a niche business, no doubt, with the utensils, but there's a niche business is when like you said, every part of the hierarchy is operating at maximum capacity. So when the planes are flying and the hotels are bumping and the restaurants are going and the clubs are going, the bars are going, well, at maximum output on all these different levels, sure, the utensil business has an awesome, lucrative potential, and there's still a lucrative potential. But now that we've had to open up online, it's so niche. How many people actually order their cutlery online? Not that many. So what we want to do is we want to bring, the eco smart, the eco sense, that organic vibe, that lifestyle, and we want to make it sexy across the board of products. And so how was it conceived? It was conceived in the fact that, I just said to myself that the reality is that I have to, I can't be so attached to what I started, even if it was just for a short window. So my team in Toronto actually, was saying to me, maybe you should consider opening it up. And I said, well, what am I going to open it up to? They said, well, online is endless. You can be selling all kinds of things that are in this space. So that's when we came up with the idea of Eco Smart Supply Co., where we're going to be selling all kinds of supplies. So like I said, we're going to have all the utensils available. And when the restaurant industry and the tourism industry, starts regaining its, I'll say edge for lack of better words, we can still go after them. But online, B2C, business to consumer, we're not limited like we were, because you just have to think about your own households. How many times are you really ordering, utensils and straws online?
I think you're going to, through this experience, through this pivot and this kind of like readapting, I'll say, bro, you're well set up for the future. I think you're going to be well prepared for the future because you're making moves right now. And it looks like EcoSmart could now be, a subsidiary of something much larger.
That's the goal. So the goal is to eventually have an equity shop, an equity fund of all eco-based, not only products, but services, technologies. That's the 5-year vision. The 5-year vision is to have the fund available. Yeah,
that's super smart. I love that. I love that you've done that. And I won't get into too much of the entrepreneur stuff. That's not what this podcast is about. We can go do that on our own. And we will. But I'm really interested because guys, Ben has been my friend for a few years, and he's also, I'm well aware that you're in law school right now.
Yeah, I just started about 7 weeks ago.
7 weeks into law school, you're also taking care of pretty much everything at EcoSmart. So how do you time manage? That's a lot.
That's a good question. I try to figure out how I can have 26 hours in the day, opposed to 24. But, I haven't figured that out yet. That's $1 billion business in itself. You know what? Really, it comes down to just feeling rewarded at the end of the day. Like I just came out of this exam period, and I was saying to my girlfriend, I was saying to my parents, there was something extremely rewarding going to bed extremely exhausted. And it's exhausted not because, I went on a hike or I sat in front of the computer all day playing a video game. It's, rewarding because I was juggling 2 mindsets, but more so just working on things that have longevity. And so I think, when you're excited about the things that you're doing, like I already did an undergrad, as you know, and I elected to go to law school. It wasn't like, I'm trying to figure out my life. Like I elected to go to law school, and because it's something I want to do, it's extremely tough and mentally enduring, but being able to balance the two comes from a place of, as cheesy as it's going to sound, it's like, I'm excited about this stuff. I'm passionate about my project, and I'm also excited to learn the things I'm learning, because I know not only are they going to be beneficial for my mindset today, but they'll be beneficial down the road when I do pair it up later with business and technology.
Totally, man. I heard you say something really interesting in there. You mentioned juggling 2 mindsets, and that's something I really relate to. And, building for longevity, building, for those things, you're always paying attention to your energetic ebbs and flows and like how your mind is doing. And that's something I respect out of Ben so much. He's always so aware of kind of, what ebbs he's in, what seasons he's going through, what changes, what physiological things he's feeling, and how that's impacting kind of, his mindset. And not only, apart from being aware, you also implement change and take action. So like, how do you juggle the full-time aspect of being an entrepreneur and an owner and operator, and how do you juggle being a full-time law student? Like I'm a full-time student right now as well. I went back to school to finish my degree. I understand how difficult that is. I'm not taking the law here either. And I'm not running a full corporation like you are. That's a lot. And you're 25.
Yeah, I think
you're not, this isn't your second or third time around. This is your first crack at the bat, or maybe your second. I don't know how busy you've been entrepreneurial since 20, but like, bro, what's your process? What's your daily process? I know mine. I meditate, cold shower, breathe.
I love your process. I did yoga today for the first time.
Amazing, dude. That's what I'm interested in. Like how do you take care of your mindset? Like, how do you do that? Because when I have too much going on, I get lost in the storm.
I'll tell you, it sounds super counterintuitive, but I step away. I step away from both things.
I love that.
What do I mean by that is a great example is that we just recently finished up the NBA finals. And I said to myself, there's a game at 9 o'clock tonight. There's a game at 8 o'clock tonight. I'm watching that game no matter what. And that 2-3 hours that I took to just not think about law, not think about work, not think about anything is like the greatest and most important 2 hours of the day. As again, counterintuitive as it sounds, to step away from everything, but it just really allows you to, okay, I'm going to go to bed after this. Calm. I don't have so much on my plate, or you might still have things on your plate, but it's not on your mind, dwelling on your mind. And that was an awesome game. You enjoy that 2 hours, 3 hours, you go to bed and you start the day again.
That's awesome.
I think is the most, you can have all the great routines of the morning. You can have all the great, and I truly believe in the things that, you're doing, the breath work, the cold showers, all that stuff. But on the days that I miss my cold shower, or the days that I don't go outside and enjoy a coffee, like that's okay too. But stepping away, it's super important. And I see a lot of people who don't, who burn themselves out. And trust me, I burned myself out, but I burned myself out at like a pace that is like, at least I get to enjoy my burnout.
That's right, man.
But if there's one thing is, for me, I think, is just stepping away, kind of readjusting, and then getting back into it. Like I had a couple nights last week or 2 weeks ago before the finals ended there. I don't know, were you watching Lakers Heat?
Nah, I lost interest after the Raptors got kicked out.
Okay, that's fair. So you're not like a real basketball fan.
Nah, I could care less, man.
Okay, so I was torn because I really wanted to see the Miami win, but I really also wanted to see LeBron win too. so I was torn. But yeah, so I like made it a point that like I was gonna watch every single finals game, because one is important to me. I know that I was gonna sit on my phone and watch the replays anyways, so I might as well take that 2.5 hours. And then I would come home after the game, because I would always go watch at a buddy's place. And I'd come home and like, whatever, I'd continue my review or continue my studying, or choose, I'm ready to go to bed. So like, to break it down to one sentence is step away, do your breath work. For me, it was watching the game and then get back into it. And if you don't do that, then you're just kind of like in a perpetual cycle that ultimately never ends. And you have to break that cycle in order for you to restart the cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, man, I love that. And that's so wise. What you just said is going to resonate so deeply with the listener. I know that, because we all go through whatever our life is, whether it's overwork or even underwork. Let's say you're just lazy and do nothing. Step away from that too. Maybe you're stepping away and going to run, Absolutely. Step away from like routine. And don't become just a prisoner of your own little loop-de-loop, and that's like emotional loops, that's thought loops. And man, like that's such good advice. And I've been kind of focusing more intently on that, like stepping away concept. And that's kind of why I've been focusing on 11 to 5 is my work schedule every single day, no matter what, like even Saturday, Sunday, like I'll 11 to 5 something. And that's given me such an awesome 24-hour rhythm. It's so sustainable. I can't get this out of my mind. The concept for habits: simple, sustainable, and scalable. Simple, sustainable, and scalable. So like just something as simple as like, what can you do every day sustainably, and it's simple. Like just
and if I add another S into there, I would say streamlined. You want to try to streamline as much as possible, so it becomes just like absolutely optimized and effective.
Love that. That kind of resonates with the saying, you build your habits, then they build you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that because how long has it been where you've now probably a year or so. Can we say, like, is it fair to say you've been taking your cold showers and doing that morning routine?
Oh, dude.
Like, and now it's just like, it's part of you.
100%, man. Like, it's like, what am I without a fucking cold shower? Like, I don't even want to meet that me. I don't even want to meet that concoction of energy. It's gonna be fucking brutal, bro. Like,
yeah, I don't want to know.
Like the Phil without a meditation, without a cold shower, with no breath work, bro. That's a completely different version.
I would be interested to hear about the meditation that you do.
Oh, dude. Over the past few months, this is new. Like, I've upped my meditation practice so aggressively. Because as some of you may or may not already know, I've been doing breath work quite a bit. Like, breath work is what got me so interested in becoming the alchemist and regulating emotion. And then over time, like, I kind of plateaued in breath work. How good can I get at breathing? You know, like, I understand what's going on here. And then I actually started focusing on, of course, breath work, upkeeping that process. But then meditation, like, I started doing these Om meditations, like doing that for an hour, 108 times. Chanting. I've been chanting like mantras from like Hinduism and stuff. You know, and I've been doing at least 2 hours of meditation a day. Like, at least. Can I
ask you about the breath work? Like, what's the objective, you know, when you're doing the breath work, and how long does that like process like happen or take until you hit that objective? So it's like a 2-part question there, but I'm just curious for myself.
That's such
By the way, big disclaimer to whoever's watching this is, I don't believe I'm using a plastic water bottle. Everybody can critique me. I'm extremely thirsty. I'm not at home. That's one. But also, I also don't believe anybody has to be like a far leftist yogi. Actually, our friend Colin Dugan, shout out to Colin.
I love Colin.
Yeah, he was the one who like brought this idea in my head when we were looking at conceiving a really awesome video. So like, you don't have to like, you know, sell your car for a horse and buggy. You don't have to, you know, sell your phone for a megaphone. You just have to do your part. So everybody can critique me on this water bottle, but I'm going to very happily quench my thirst right now. So if there's anyone that wants to critique me, I'll send you a discount code to our website and we could save the planet together.
That's so funny, brother. That's funny. But not like, for me, like meditation, breath work led me into meditation. Like, what's your question again?
Yeah, my question was like, one, what is the objective when you're doing breath work? And then what's the process to reach that objective?
So the objective would be to engage your parasympathetic nervous system, to enter that, you know, more rest and digestive state for your nervous system, to disengage from all things in your environment, and just to find your center, find your home, find your alignment, your zone. And that zone is only something you can know what it means. So for me to say, hey, Ben, you're going to do breath work for you're going to do, you know, 3 minutes of breath of fire, then you're going to sit. Like, I can kind of predict what you're going to feel, but that's only for you to know.
So there's as much as a mental aspect as there is a physical aspect. Right.
And like, you know, it's all about emotion and feeling, and there's no set rules. There's no set time amount or allocation or purpose. I think the goal is to remove drive, to remove just to really be okay and let gravity sit your ass down on planet Earth and just be in that space in complete acceptance of all. Like, you'll know what that feels like for you. And to the listener that might have not done breath work yet, or is thinking about it, or just is, you know, whatever, like, when you start learning how to utilize the depth of your breath and, you know, rhythmically, you know, doing special things to make sure you're engaging your parasympathetic nervous system, you start entering a new state of consciousness, straight up. And I can't tell you what that feels like for you, except I kind of can, but I just won't.
You won't take away the nirvana that I'm gonna reach.
I don't want to I don't want to put a carrot in front of you to always be chasing after, or like, well, Phil said it was gonna feel like this, and it's just not yet. Well, like, who am I to think that that's how you should feel? Like, I don't want to put an idea in front of your mind that is not achievable for you. I think that's a fucking terrible thing to do to somebody, is put something that they'll never be in front of their face. Like, and also, like, you know, I've been breathing for a long time now, like every single day. This is what
So have I. I've been breathing for 25 years.
Bro, same. Yeah, that's funny. Well, then good. There it is. You know what to do. And then you're just like, well, don't leave me hanging. You know what I mean? Well, it's just up in the air, man. Like, you do the process, you get the result. And that result is totally unique for you. But because you are a human, you're a vibration, you're a spiritual being, I think I have a good idea what you're going to feel. And that's
so it'd be fair to say like there's a physical feeling that would be like common.
Oh yeah.
But the mental feeling would be very subjective to each individual.
I mean, like I've done some very intense breath work where, you know, I've fainted so many times doing breath work, like passed out.
You're sick, man. You're sick, man.
So like, but that I love going to the point of regulation where you're like in the abyss, you're in the void. Like, I feel like I'm in a void. I'm like, am I here or am I somewhere else? Is there, there's nothing really that I can put my finger on in that energetic situation. And that situation lasts usually, because I've filmed it before, 1 second to the viewer, 2 seconds to the viewer. But that when you're in that void, it feels like 30 seconds, like a minute. Like you can, and then you go check the video. Oh, I just fucking fainted. Goddamn. But like, before you fainted, you were in the void, and like that void is where I love to do my dance. So that's so subjective for each human being, but it feels damn good. That's what I'll say. And that's just like the mental aspect. The physical aspect is just pure stillness, pure stillness.
Well, yeah, it's something I haven't tapped into, you know, to be completely transparent, but something I just haven't tapped into. And I'm not saying I wouldn't, it's just something I just haven't done. So it's something, if I come down to your area anytime soon, then you'll have to put me through the motions.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know if I can go to the point of faint.
No, that's just my stupid self.
No, but it's cool because
my ego saying, "Give me more, give me more."
That's, you know what, most people's, unfortunately. So at least yours is with breath work, which is free.
Yeah. No, but like, yeah, I got into breath work because, you know, I'm a very sensitive person, and I went through trauma. I've had head injuries, and like, at a certain point you get sick and tired of being sick and tired and like depressed. And so I made a change, and I knew that change had to be made physiologically. Like we shared the same thing about the concussions. Yeah.
I had 3 concussions. I think you also had 2 or 3 concussions.
Yeah, man.
And
I had a couple.
You know, it's also crazy is when you had come down to Montreal, and we had grabbed lunch when we were hanging out there to see if there was an opportunity to set something up with the music stuff. You know, you were telling me about your friend who had passed away. And then a year later, my best friend had passed away. You know, so I absolutely understand, you know, that statement you said, where it's like you're sick and tired of being sick and tired when it comes to those things. Cause it's just like, there's almost at this point, like nothing that can really pull you apart.
Right. Wow. There's nothing that can pull. Yeah, there's nothing. Okay, this is funny. You just jogged my memory and my thoughts pretty good here. There's nothing that can pull me apart because I'm already apart. Like you, like this, like, what, dude, I've just gone so deep into so many different rabbit holes that I realized that like my body is just like a rental energy system, you know, like my body's my rental energy vessel for this human experience, which is a fun one. It's cool. But my imagination
called life.
But like my imagination is what basically determines where my body goes and what energy my rental suit has. And like, I firmly believe that. Like I really, really believe that. Some people are like, yeah, okay, like you just, whatever, and they forget it. You know, some people tell you something and you forget about it like 10 seconds later.
Yeah, because it wasn't important.
Yeah.
It didn't change it. Didn't change anything in my mental or physical state.
Yeah, literally, like that's just something that I can't ever forget. I think it's because I went through trauma and I witnessed death, and I remember my first thought upon seeing what happened is like, where's his mind? Where to go? Like I know that his mind is not trapped in there. I know it. And then that like imprinted on me so aggressively in that traumatic experience that I just instantly knew that the mind is outside the body.
Yeah, no, I 1,000% agree with you. I believe there's a huge separation between the physical and the spiritual from that standpoint. And that, when you see it, like that, and it's like one day here, one day not there. Yeah. It's like, there's something that still retains here, and it's not the physical. And as Jews, Judaism, we believe in reincarnation of the soul.
Talk about that.
And so, no, I'm not an expert on the topic, but
don't need to be.
We absolutely believe in that the soul is bound to return to life form in order to complete the soul's mission. And so it's very interesting, because when you understand that perspective, that you definitely understand that there is a separation between the physical body and the mental body. And those two are, separated by literally us just being like a physical casing, within something greater. And so I agree with you. I mean, like when it comes to, for example, experiencing death like that first time, because it's one thing to have it where you lose a parent who's old, or you lose a grandparent or an uncle. It's natural. When a natural death happens, it's a lot different, but then the perspective of something completely unnatural. Like I woke up to a phone call from my best friend saying that we lost our best friend, and I was like, "Well, what are you talking about? Where do we lose him? Let's go find him." So what are you talking about? So it didn't make sense.
Go knock some life into him.
Yeah, that's it. Like, what happened? You had a rough night?
Yeah, seriously.
So when you realize it, like I talk about it with my friends, it was only December 21st of this past year. Still, it's super fresh. And, when I think about it, it's like, wow, I haven't spoken to Alex, in like 9 months. It's like, how did I not talk? How have I not spoken to this person yet? So many situations from the time that he hasn't physically been with us to now he's been so apparent. Bro. It's like that spiritual form that still remains here, or because he had an impact on us, or whatever it may be. But there's some life within the physical that we knew, and that physical that we knew remains to be his name and the memories that we have and whatnot. So it's a really like weird, also subjective idea. But I'm firmly with you on the fact that it doesn't just end when it ends. It's beginning. It's the end of one thing, and it's the beginning of something else.
I love that, man. Oh, we just got deep into spirit. Thank you for going there with me.
Crazy.
Thank you for going there with me. Yeah, wow. I'm on your Instagram right now, and I see that you have a quote on your Instagram. Can I read it?
Yeah,
I'm gonna read it.
I want to see which picture you're talking about.
On your profile, it says progress always involves risk. You can't steal second base and keep your foot on first. What inspired you to put that on your Instagram?
Oh, it's my favorite. It was my favorite quote, man. Look, when I was at Dalhousie, after a number of months of just partying, first year res kind of environment. I wanted something more. I went to a startup weekend. I met some awesome people. A year later, I ended up co-founding this small tech platform called StuGig. The school ended up giving us just under 50 grand for the project. Cool. And it was an awesome experience because, you know, I literally had started slowly putting my classes on hold for something like way greater. I brought on an awesome co-founder. We ended up parting ways for, you know, just internal reasons, but an amazing, brilliant, smart mind, somebody like really although I don't have a relationship with today, I'm super grateful that was in my life. And that risk that I took, less than conventional to say the least. So instead of returning to my classes, I leveraged the network that I had created. I started working with another startup that came out of Dallas as well. Fast forward a couple of years, also parted ways due to some co-founding issues, we'll say, for lack of better words. But all those risks that were taken, all those less than conventional paths, you know, have led to so much progress. The doors that have opened, the experiences that I've had, the networks that I've had, have all come from one thing, just taking a risk. And the result of all those risks have been, whether it's personal progress, whether it's, you know, career or professional progress. And so that progress is always derived from one thing, and that's taking some sort of risk or some sort of action that most people would say, don't do that. Stay in school, focus on your classes. Why are you starting a company right now? It's not necessary. Why would you fly across the country when you have an exam in 2 weeks to go to a sales meeting? Well, because if I don't, I won't know the outcome. And if I don't know the outcome, I'm going to bite my tongue. Yeah. Where I know the outcome of what my exam is going to be. I'm going to do shit either way because I hate this class. So not actually, but you get what I'm trying to say. So that quote for me is extremely inspiring. And it's also inspiring to me because it is really like a testament to who I am, which is like, I'm very much, if you don't do, you won't know. If you don't say, you won't know. Therefore, there's no reason to hold things back. Obviously, you can't do everything that we desire to do, but the point is that progress in any way, you want to do something different, you got to take a risk. I'm taking a risk right now. We're investing a whole ton of money, and like I said, it will be available in November, but everything, like, we're spending a ton of money to revamp this online experience from an eco standpoint, to bring in new products, to test, to sample. You know, it's not free. And I'm taking a risk because I believe that if we do it right, we have the opportunity to scale online. We have the opportunity to get a whole ton of eco-friendly based products into the hands of consumers. And if we don't try and we don't take the risk, we'll never progress to what we think is possible. And so, that's really like the base of that quote for me is you got to try, because if you don't try, you're going to stay idle in the same place. And there's nothing worse, in my opinion.
I love that.
Being a sheep.
I love that, man. Well, like, dude, I want to compound onto that brilliance. You just spit some brilliance, brother. I want to kind of say, like, I think compound. Fucking slam it. You're gonna fail either way. You're gonna fail doing shit you hate. You're gonna fail doing shit you love. You're going to fail all the time, no matter what route you take. So fucking step out. Step out as far as you fucking can. And then go stretch. You'll realize that you don't really get pulled back. You learn lessons. You learn lessons, and then you actually just become smarter. You become this like variable that stepped out a few times and then just created your own thing. And that's your path. That's your journey. It's just like, you're so accepting of risk. You just absorb it, you learn, and you move.
Yeah. I don't feel like at this point, even though, again, I'm no guru. I've only been on this planet for 25 years, but I've had between 18 and 25, a very different path than most of my peers. And because of that, I feel like I'm not really susceptible to true disappointment, and it's always temporary. Like I got bad news yesterday from one of my factories overseas. And like, it put me in a crappy mood, not like, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not susceptible to like true disappointment, because there's no time to be disappointed. You think about it and you act. and you act accordingly and not impulsively. So the only time that you can be disappointed is the time between being disappointed and the time you need to act. And there's always a very short window. Sometimes there isn't, but the problem is if you act while you're disappointed, you're acting impulsively.
Yeah.
So it's important to feel that emotion out, but it's also important not to dwell on those emotions and to just roll with it. And so I feel like I'm very, very non-susceptible to the word failure, because I don't believe there is failure. Like, I believe, you can do anything, and this sounds cheesy, but you can do anything and say anything and act in any way, as long as it's respectful, as long as, it's has an objective. I was just telling somebody recently how they can step away from a commitment they made. And I said, you're better off doing it now before you get going and working into this commitment. If it's not something you're 100% comfortable with, even if you feel like it's a hard conversation to have, do it now, and you'll feel a lot better. That way you'll be taken off your shoulders.
Oh, the truth will set you free. The truth will set you free, my friends.
That's it. But it's a scary thought for a lot of people.
Yes, it is. It was scary for me, like, to speak my truth to, my girlfriend, my family, my friends, without really worrying about making them happy or sad. I don't care about that outcome. That's an outcome that I don't need validation or anything, but through just putting out your truth. That's fierce. Like, that's fierce man energy.
Yeah, it's alpha.
Fierce
it's
man
alpha,
energy.
at least.
It's definitely something.
Yeah, but I think you said it. It's also like you don't need validation. It comes back to that quote. Progress involves risk. Risk is never going to be validated by the majority. Like, it's just not.
Right.
We're programmed to be safe and conservative, and to only take certain calculated risks. And even in those calculated risks, are we programmed that it's not the right thing? Our brains aren't, wired to take risks. So therefore, it's like you can't be searching for validation while you're trying to do something that's way beyond the capacity and understanding of the great majority. Because the great majority will only understand it once the results come. And that's okay. It's really okay that people fall into that field. But in order to get the results to come, you have to take a risk. And in order to take a risk, and in order to progress, you got to do something that's different.
Right. It's like, what level of uncomfortableness are you willing to undergo to feel your aliveness? Yeah. Like,
it's weird. I don't feel uncomfortable anymore. With a lot, I just feel like it's like, oh, I just have to do this thing, or I just have to complete this task, or whatever. Like, it's just what has to happen.
Right.
Whereas it can put somebody into shivers and another person into like full excitement. And I always find myself that I'm in full excitement when something seems uncomfortable. I'm more excited than I am scared.
That's awesome.
It's
a good place to be.
Know.
It's a good place to be.
I feel safe by it. It wasn't always like that, though.
That's what faith does. That's what, the hand of, you believe that you're going to get good bounces. You're going to get bad bounces. It's all going to happen. And you got to march. You have to march. And you're disconnected from results, that are in front of your face. You've got your mission. You got your reasons why you're on this mission. And you march. You just keep moving. And the ebbs and flows are always, like the Buddha says, the middle way is the way to go. And but it's hard to not get pulled here, there, at every level. And you're just a guy that's been
every level.
Yeah, every level. You're a guy that's had his head on straight for a while. So it's a pleasure to hear your advice here for myself and everybody else. Like,
no, I appreciate
an inspiration.
No, not yet. One day, hopefully.
Well, I think you're an inspiration to me. And
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Like, something I bring up a lot, when I talk to people about their own energy and about their working on, hearing about their problems and working with them through all that, I always ask the question, what are you not feeling that you so desire to feel? And like, for me, it's just about extracting the truth from people. Extracting the truth that they can't extract themselves. They're too busy lying. So they need me to say, hey, let's breathe, let's meditate, and let's extract some truth. And then that is so powerful. Like that, like you've been following me for a little while too. And like, what I've learned is that people, what they desire most is a feeling. Like at 100%, you want that because of the feeling that thing gets you. I don't care what you say. That thing is irrelevant. That thing's irrelevant. It's the feeling you want. So let's just forget about that right now, and let's get that feeling into you. And then we realize where a lot of people, when you're stuck in the egotistical illusion, you kind of need a third party to be like a mediator between between the higher self and the egotistical self that has entrenched the entire being. And you're like, okay, listen to this here. Okay, listen to these 3 things and go. We'll talk in a week. You know, it's been really, really, it's been fun. It's been fucking fun. Cause like, you know, I've gone through my own healing for the past few years and went through my own trauma, my own things, and like seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, seeing what people enjoy, what people don't enjoy, seeing what people hate the most or love the most. I've now gotten to see through the revolving door of people the commonalities, and it's just like a really cool place to be because I'm just kind of the witnesser of like what's
the number one thing that you find is the common theme.
The hardest thing is for people to become present and fully accepting of just whatever, man. This is awesome. Super happy. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. I have full faith, full love, full trust. That's a hard thing to get to with nothing external bringing you to that point. If I was like, Ben, try your best right now. Feel the best you ever did before, baby. Let's go.
I could get fired up.
You get fired up. Yeah. But like that still would be like, if you had to do it with your body, like that's cool. But can you do it plainly with your mind? Like in your heart, like closed eyes, you know, just pure senses, tuning in and tapping into that like aliveness. That's like an addiction of mine now. At least it's a healthy addiction.
But no, it's another one of those things where it's better. It's better you're taking in air than you're taking in other things.
And then like a lot of spiritual teachers would say, well, it doesn't matter what the vehicle is with the body. It's just the feeling. So like, however you get that feeling, but like that feeling is the most difficult thing for people to connect with within themselves, truly. Like people, you know, relationship problems. Okay, that's great. Your wife didn't do this, that, and the next thing she pissed you off. Whatever it is, your girlfriend. That's okay. But like, what are you missing? What do you want? What do you want? This is a safe place. And then people just divulge. And it's really eye-opening because it's all the same thing. It's always the same thing.
Well, it just comes down to just being true with yourself.
Freedom. I want freedom. I want freedom. I want to feel love. I want to be this. Like, and these vibrations, these energies are available. You can literally
just unlocking them.
You can get them. You can feel them. Like you can. But then the next problem number 2 is you don't believe you can. Or you're gonna sit here. We're gonna talk. It's gonna be cool. But then, like in 2 hours, you're gonna catch yourself like, "Fuck! I'm wanting all of this again. God damn it! I am addicted," like he said. And then at least you got an awareness point. I call them like awareness points. So how many awareness points do you have? And then you build your trajectory. And it's just like, because that's what I had to do when I was super, super depressed, bro. When I was super anxious. This is about like, you know, this is after I broke up with my girlfriend. I think I was 23 and a half years old. And I was super fucking depressed. And then I just looked in the mirror and I was like, what's wrong? And then I basically got an answer. And it's just like, you are not being grateful for you and your time here. You are not grateful for your body and your energy. You're ignoring me completely. And then that was like, oh my God. I was like, fuck. I'm destroying my body with alcohol. I'm destroying my body with bad sleeping schedules. I'm destroying my body with toxic relationships. I'm destroying my body. And that was the day when everything flipped. You know, it was like the next morning I was up at 5 a.m. I was fucking exercising.
Let me ask you a question. The question is that you say you stood in the mirror and you asked that question. But for somebody who doesn't have the courage or the ability, the intuition to bring themselves to a point of pinpointing, said problem, whatever it may be, what is what is the process to unlocking that pinpoint, or the ability to pinpoint what that challenge is?
That's a great question. You just got to, what I would say to that is you'd have to accept. You have to accept, and like whatever your inner voice is telling you, you have to accept that. And
it's interesting you're saying this, because and I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you interject, but it really all rests on accepting yourself, accepting your truth, and listening. And through meditation, different memories will come up. Different memories from your childhood will come up. Different things will come up in your imagination, and you'll know when it's an important one that's giving you something to pay attention to, and you'll know it's an inner guidance, and you either ignore it or get frustrated, or you accept it and work with it. It's a fine balance, and again, it's only for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all internal.
Yeah.
It's all internal. No, it's interesting you're saying that, because I was just having a conversation with a friend recently, and we were talking about somebody we know quite well, and this person struggles with their own internal battles and demons. And it's interesting because we were talking about how it's really out of our control to help this person any further, because this person doesn't want to help themselves. They don't have the ability to identify, really what's wrong. And if they do, they at least mask it extremely well. And so it's just quite interesting that you're saying that, because I at least believe the number one challenge is, so I have somebody coming into the room. So the number one challenge is identifying and then making aware. And once you make aware, okay, give me 1 second, Phil, so I don't get distracted here. I'm going to mute you for 1 second. I apologize.
Alrighty. No, this is super cool. Super cool conversation going on between myself and Ben.
Yeah,
right?
so that's what I would say. I agree with you. It's about pinpointing.
Yeah, it's about bringing yourself to that awareness of what is making you uncomfortable, and being okay with that uncomfort. In the West, we are so afraid of, we're so afraid of bad things. we're so afraid of getting sick. We're so afraid of dying. We're so afraid of all these things. And I feel
embrace it.
I feel like our fear of those things happening is what causes those things to happen.
It's a manifestation, man.
So in some way, yes, bring some awareness to whatever problems your friend has. But once you have an awareness of those issues going on with his demons and stuff, accept them. Don't try to
own who you are. Own how,
bro. Go we are all perverse, sick puppies. Okay, I'll be the first to admit it. Here, Phil Paquette, manifested host. I'm a sick puppy. Y'all know it. Heard it here first. Proud of it.
Love it.
You know what I mean? We walk around this earth trying to be all this perfect thing for everyone and everything, and it's like, I'll cut through that fucking shit like fucking butter knife through hot butter. What's your goddamn truth? Yeah, I'm not here to waste anyone's time. I talk to strangers about their dreams, their demons, but that by being so transparent, honest, and upfront about the truth, I create a transparency highway between their soul and my soul.
Absolutely.
I establish my boundaries so fucking quickly with people. Like I say, this is my base vibration, and this is what I'm going to operate as. And I'm completely disconnected from whether or not you like me, whether or not you listen to me. Because guess what? I feel great in my base chakra. I feel so good in my core. And then you start being that momentum. When you accept your demons, you accept your gods. your God. I'll say you have God thoughts, which are unreal thoughts, or like really abundant thoughts, and you have your super bad thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Don't judge one side and favor the other side. You're creating a war within yourself. Accept the whole pie. and have fun with it, man. People forget about humor. Humor will heal. Humor heals.
That's something I got to work on, man. I've been so in the serious recently. Like even my girlfriend's been telling me like I gotta laugh a little bit more. I gotta lighten up, and it's again like something that is just, to me, you're caught up in the momentum of doing the everyday thing. You gotta take that step back and chill out for a second. And so, on a much more surface level thought process than the things you were just discussing, is it comes down to just like owning the things that you're good at, owning the things that you're weak at, ride the wave of momentum. And if you don't ride the wave of momentum, I mean, you're really going to go through an uphill battle, which is okay. But the waves of momentum are your best friends. They're your best friends, both the negative and positive.
Preach.
And it's identifying. I think it all comes down to three things. It comes down to identify and pinpoint, act, and then assess. And the last part is the most important, that most people leave out. Because if you identify and you act, and you take the necessary steps to do what you think is going to benefit you, but you don't assess whether it truly works or it doesn't work, or what the results are of said action, you're pretty much just moving to move. And that's also quite dangerous. So I think it comes down to three things.
Repeat them for the viewer and listener right now.
Okay, if I could say them the same way I just said them, it was identify and pinpoint.
Identify and pinpoint. Number one.
Act accordingly. Number two.
Act accordingly.
Or what you believe is accordingly.
I love what you're doing.
And then reassess.
Reassess.
Or assess, for that matter. And you assess it. I think the last point's the most important thing, because you have to assess. You have to analyze if the changes you're making or the habitual things that are happening in your life are effective or not. Before I started law school just 7 weeks ago, I was up late because I was talking to my team a lot in Asia and whatnot. And, it's my sleeping schedule is really off. And so I said, I'm going to start going to bed earlier. Now, earlier for some people, at the time I go to bed, it's still probably late for most people, but it was earlier for me. And just assessing the fact that wouldn't work for me if I wanted to be up early to grind school on top of grinding work, I would have to make that change. And like I said, I've been going to bed extremely rewarded, exhausted, but extremely rewarded. And it all comes down from, if you take that process backwards, assess, act accordingly, identify, and pinpoint. So it's really not that complicated. It's funny because somebody who was very close to me actually said, life is very simple. Just smile. And I was like, well, life isn't that simple. Like, there's a lot more variables that go into it. But when it comes down to it, like, I will take out the smile part. The smiling is overrated. But I would say life is pretty simple, and it's just stay in your lane, do your shit, and do what makes you happy. You don't want anything else that makes anybody else happy. I mean, obviously taking into consideration if you're in a relationship or if you have children or if you have siblings, what the effects of your actions or the outcomes of your actions. But it's very, very simple, and it's just so simple by one fact, and the fact is, do what makes you happy and nobody else, and stop worrying about that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you cannot control the outside variables. You can't control the outcomes, but one thing that you can do is do your best now in the present moment, so that you don't care what what the reward is or what the punishment is. You stuck to your truth, you acted, and now you just accept. And that when that's your cycle of life, brother, oh man, life feels really, really good. You feel like a little ball of energy, and your ball of energy grows because you're not spread too thin. It's actually very selfish, like very, very selfish lifestyle.
It is very selfish, but it's very healthy.
But it's so sustainable for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your girlfriend, if so. But
And I'll just add on to that. Like, it's good. It sounds super cheesy, but it's something also that I truly live by, is change the things you can't accept and accept the things you can't change.
love it.
Right? So if you're not happy with something, or you're in a relationship that's not making you happy, or you're in school, or you're in a job, or you're doing something that doesn't make you happy, change that. No one has a gun to your head, and if they do, then call the police. and the things that you can't change the way people think or what people are going to say this stuff. Well, accept it and keep freaking riding your surfboard on your wave. That's just what it comes down to. You know, like when I started with the straw thing, right before I was working at Manulife, and I was working at Manulife in investments. I was doing wealth management with a senior investment advisor. I'd go to work every day, put on a suit. I felt good. We were dealing with clients, lots of money. It was a very, very amazing job. Like I really loved it. And anyways, when I told my friends I left Manulife to work on this straw project, you know, they're all like, what do you mean you're selling straws? And I remember calling my lawyer and I was like, hey, like I got to come meet you. I need to incorporate a company for that. And he's like, well, what are you working on? I said, straws. He's like, straws? What are you talking about? And I said, no, don't worry. When I come see you, I'll show you. And, you know, fast forward. And again, because of COVID, we might have been limited, but we're still in 20 restaurants here in Montreal. We're still selling online. I still have, some major players testing our straws that I'm not going to disclose out loud, but until something happens with it. But the point is like, who cares? People are going to say what they want, when they want, how they want. Who gives it? You know, like, it really doesn't matter.
Who cares?
But most people are limited. Most people are limited by the thoughts of others. But like, and again, I hate to be cheesy, but like, those opinions aren't going to bring you to where you want to go. People's thought processes are going to happen. If you're doing what you're doing, it's going to be you that they're laughing at, or you that they're making comments on, or the next person.
Just tell them to put a mirror. Tell them to put a mirror. Right?
Don't even tell them anything. Don't even tell them anything. Don't even waste your energy. Don't even tell them anything. So that's really it.
Sometimes I was talking about, I think it was my girlfriend. She was like ripping into me about something. And I just wished I pretended to pull out a mirror and just put it in front of her face.
Well, that probably pissed her off.
Nah, man, it was a humorous situation. I would never do that for real. I would dude. No. Oh no. No, but that's awesome, bro. How's law school? Well, we'll spend 10, 15 more minutes here chatting, but how's law school? Is it as hard as everyone says it is?
Big kudos to the kids or the teenagers that do it straight out of like CEGEP or out of high school. Because like in Quebec, you can do law school right out of CEGEP. Like my girlfriend, for example, she did CEGEP, went straight into law school. So big like kudos. I mean, at least I have had the experience with time management and whatnot. Is it as hard as everybody says it is? No, it's not in terms of the material of the work. What's hard is the load of the work. You know, there's a lot of work, but the quality of work isn't hard. It's really just comes down to one thing: time management. That's what's really hard. So I had a couple of friends also who have, finished up at the University of Ottawa. They came straight out of CEGEP, and I remember seeing them. I would come in from Halifax, here and there, and then, it was always like the break of some sort of reading week or whatever it is. And I would catch them for, an evening or something. And, they looked like crap. They were burnt out. Not that I don't, and not that I didn't, last week specifically, but it's not hard. It's a lot of work, but that's everything. So right. I feel like, I say that, but I also think being online has a huge advantage. A huge advantage. Could go back and listen to classes, the exams, they're done online. It's, because it's online right now, the things are open book. So there are the pros. But just like anything, it's hard work because of the amount of work, not hard work because it's not hard. Yeah, what's hard is awesome. Rocket science, That's hard. Law isn't hard.
Math is hard.
Law's a lot of work.
Math is hard for me, man. Math is super hard for me.
How's your program?
My program, I'm in social sciences. It's easy. It's good. I'm doing 3 criminology courses, 1 philosophy course, 1 psych course. It's good. Then I'm going to be finished. And I want to get my master's after this, consciousness. Super
Beauty.
interesting stuff. Yeah.
So you will.
Yeah, it's been a lot easier going back to school than it initially was. My focus is way better. My time management is way better, and I'm not partying like I used to. So there's a lot of elements that are not there anymore that are helping me get shit done.
It's a completely different mindset, a different ball game than it was a couple of years ago, and for the better, obviously, for progression. And I think also the mindset at 20 years old when you go away for university versus, in this case, I still technically would be going away. I'd be going to Ottawa, leaving Montreal, but it's just a different mindset. And then your goals are, and not necessarily goals, but your desires are much more clear. Whereas, you come out of high school or CJEP, you go into your undergrad, you're away, you're in a city like, for example, Halifax in my case, you're living in residence. There's only two things to do, and that's party and party. I
can vouch for that for sure.
That's it. So, that's what I'm saying. So all that being said, it's just a different mindset entirely. It's just a different place, different mindset, and I can't even think about the last time I had a alcoholic beverage.
Oh man, it turns me off now. Alcohol turns me off.
I don't really. I was gonna say I don't really like.
It's got to be the most boring drug ever. Like literally.
Yeah, we'll have to take this conversation offline.
That's all right. Hey, to the viewer, to the listener, I'll always be transparent with you. Don't you worry.
That's it.
I gotta establish that trust with them. Yeah. Anyways, I want to ask you one last question, and
otherwise you're gonna have to start paying me.
Two last questions. Two last questions before I get invoiced.
Hit me.
The first question is, what is the biggest life experience that changed your life? What moment changed your life?
Oof, I don't know if I could speak about that on record. I think that's a good question. That is a very good question.
I know.
The problem is, and it's interesting. It's the fact that I've had a couple in such a short time period. What's your second question? Let me think about that and get back to you.
Okay. My second question is, what is your greatest life advice?
It goes back to, as cheesy as it is, accept the things you can't change and change the things you can't accept. It's just that simple, really. Like, if you're not happy, just change what you're doing. Like, it's just really that simple. And like, don't worry about hurting somebody's feelings. Like, I swear, I have friends who are working 9 to 5s, and like, they talk about how excited they are for the weekend, and they're so excited, and like, they wish they can quit their job. And I'm just like, well, why don't you? Like, just leave. like it's not that hard. Like, go talk to your boss and tell them that you're looking for a new job, you're not happy, or you want the changes to be made. Like, it's pretty straightforward. So like, really, and also just try to wake up with like a sense of everything is all good. Like,
nice.
I've been having more than ever a couple weird down days. And like, really, when it comes down to it, it's like, everything's all good. You got a roof over your head, you're eating, you're learning, you're working on cool things. Like, there's not so much to worry about. Like, sure. If we go south, crazy times in the States, or we got coronavirus, but things are all good. So I think, like, really just keep focusing on yourself, like, only yourself. And it's just what I've been doing the last couple of years. Like, I've really, I've made some weird changes, some major changes, but they've all been around and based around, like, is it good for me? Am I happy? And if it checks out that those things aren't there, if I'm not that happy or it's not that good for me, I just make a change. Like, I was really close with somebody, and I just wasn't happy with the way, like, they were handling situations, me presently. And like, somebody really close to me likes to put it, is just redefined the relationship, because I just wasn't happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I wasn't me being selfish. It was me being selfish, but for me, and so it's really just accept the things you can't change and change the things you can't accept. And I would say, if you can stick to that and really stick to that, that would be my biggest piece of advice. And again, I don't want to come off as some guru, but I've had some very less than conventional experiences, and there's no reason to sit idle on something that you're not 1,000% happy with, or with somebody you're not 1,000% happy with, or in a situation you're not 1,000% happy with. There's just no reason.
That's amazing.
And I don't understand people who do it.
Oh man, preach that, man. That is so good. That is so good. That is so honest. Yes, that is so honest.
That's also very important.
I think they go kind of hand in hand. Like what you just said, and you can't have one. Like if you're doing what you just said, like you're being honest. You're being a high degree of honesty. Yeah. So that's also the thing I focus on when I meet new people. It's like, what degree of honesty are they at right now? And that's like my inner dialogue. On Big Brother, I spent 3 months locked in a house competing in Big Brother in reality TV. And I happen to have won that show. And that to win that show, you have to, first of all, you just have to read everything. And that includes yourself. Dude, like you could perceive something completely wrong. So you have to.
What season did you win? I want to go back and watch it.
Season 4. So yeah, just like being totally brutally honest. And if you're not happy, change it. But you got to stop lying to yourself, or you got to stop pretending that this level of comfort is what you need. No. It's an excuse. Like, change it.
Absolutely.
Change it.
And a lot of people make it so much more complicated than it needs to be.
It's so complex here, because you also don't want to get into a cycle of running away from yourself, of getting scared. You know, like for me, relationships have been difficult for whatever reason. You know, committing to someone long term has been like hard for me. But like by not running away and by not doing the same mistakes over and over again or not lusting for some superficial thing, by actually giving myself completely honestly and vulnerably to someone else that is willing to, like, you know, cradle me in their energy, is like, and building that for the long term is like really cool. And it's something that I'm only learning about now. I'm only learning about, you know, not running away from your problems, not running away from the same bullshit. You're getting scared or fearful or doubtful, and actually just charging through those with someone else and being open about what you're going through with that someone else, and them being okay with that.
Yeah.
That is perfect yin yang. And that's like something so new to me right now, Ben, like with my relationship. Like I've only had like one serious relationship before this one now. And like,
we're very similar, man.
I like being someone who's like so driven, like you are. The hardest thing for me is not lying to myself. I'm very persuasive. I'm very, very good at talking myself in or out of anything. And that's cool. That's a power for me. But also it's my Achilles heel, because that thing could be the best thing for me, and I'm going to fucking shy away. And it's not going to look like shying away. It's going to look like triumphing the other direction because it's right for me. But realistically, my inner voice is saying, you idiot.
That's it. That's it.
You
no,
pussy.
I resonate with what you just said.
You pussied out, and now you're justifying it and making yourself look like a hero. Come on. Bad boy. So that's my inner self sometimes. And you got to kind of, that's the dance though. Like you said, man, like, and like, just enjoy it. Everything's okay. You've got a house to sleep in. You've got food in your mouth. You've got family. Oh man, like you're so abundant, brother. And I'm so abundant and in a position of such blessing. And it's just cool to speak with you because I know that you're grateful for your blessings. And
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I always appreciate chatting with you. It's always a very different conversation to have with you than that I have with a lot of people, at least our age. because most people aren't, as the cool kids like to call it, woke. But that's what it is. And like the last point you're making, you know, like where, you know, in a relationship where you have to accept your own flaws. Like I think like one awesome thing about the relationship I'm in right now is that like I've like owned my insecurities of relationships because of a previous relationships, and being with somebody who can understand that and respect that and own that as well is just like such a perfect yin yang, as you said.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, but it makes it that much like cooler because you're able to be transparent about who you truly are, versus like letting down, like we're like not letting down a wall and holding it up high, and really it's like a mask. You know what I mean? And I think, like, again, a lot of people are in relationships they're not happy with, and they're not happy because they're not truly who they are. They can't truly be themselves, or whatever it may be. And when you can't be yourself, like, you're ultimately living in this perpetual, not lie, but a mask. And that's just not healthy or sustainable for the long term. So whoever, like you're saying, like in your current relationship, that, you know, you feel that you've let go of a lot of the bullshit that you've dealt with. It comes down to the fact that, like, you've been honest with yourself, you've pinpointed, you've acted, and you assessed of what's worked or what hasn't worked. And based on that, you're able to take the fourth step, which is essentially reacting to the assessment.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Wow. Very good.
I feel you.
Very good. Yeah. I'll end with this, and then we'll share where you can be found and messaged and creeped. I think it was I forget who it was. It was a very brilliant mind. It might have been Ram Dass or one of the great spiritual teachers who said, "Your partner will be your greatest mirror to the ego." And so your partner will, and like, I'm very into masculine feminine energy. I've been researching a lot of this and how to action it. And it's been really cool having a new sort of dialogue that I question myself before I question, you know, my girlfriend or someone else. Like, I question my perception, because that's where all the problems and distortion happens. It's like in that initial perception of the situation. And I've been kind of hyper fixated on like, how did I perceive that? What did I think? Before placing judgment into anyone else. So it's been cool.
What point? Yeah, just before we end there, at what point does it become though too much?
That's such a good question.
Hyper focus on. Oh, did I do this? Did I do that? How did it handle? What like? At what point is it like not healthy? And at what point is it extremely important? You know, like where's the balance in that?
That's a great question. And definitely something I struggle.
And it's an open question. Yeah, it's an open question.
I struggled with that. I struggled with that so heavily. That hyper focus on just everything. And then through deep meditation, you don't care about anything that happens anymore. That you have fun. It's all fun. It's always fun. It's always, Ben, I don't know when it was work, it was work, but when it's play, it's play. And Phil has gotten to a point where it's play 24/7, 365.
It's beautiful.
And even if it's hurt or sad, well, we're still playing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's still playing. And it's because I don't consider myself like so trapped in my skin encapsulated ego. Like I trust that I'm the flux. Like I'm the fucking like whatever, bro. And like the better I feel, the more I get rewarded. And that's kind of like the motto I live by. I don't live by like gotta like do this not every single day. That used to be me. It's like, yo, let's feel good. Let's do good. Let's make some mistakes. Let's hurt if we have to hurt, but let's have some fun. All right, let's go. And it's like we talked about humor in this chat.
Yeah.
Like humor, man. Like always humor yourself. God is funny.
Yeah.
God is so funny. Life is so funny. People are so funny. Everything is so funny, bro. And like, that's just what I've chosen. I've just chosen that as my energy and my perception.
Well, that's money, man. It's money because, you know, it's way better to feel like that than to, like I said, dwell and feel upset and point fingers and this is why this is and this is why that.
Right.
You know, so, you know, some people might call it wacky and crazy. Other people might call it at peace and bliss, whatever anybody calls it, as long as you're happy.
It's both of those. It's all those things.
That's the thing. It's the combination. It's a culmination of all of them. But as long as you feel happy and as long as you feel good and you're waking up feeling like you're able to do the things you want to do, then who cares? Who cares?
It's that simple. You just pegged it.
It is.
You just nailed it. And yeah, it's a good life. It's a really good life. And then, but bro, like I've been on this for a few years, like this, like feel good shit. And like when you start seeing synchronicities that, holy shit, like this feeling good thing actually only leads to more feeling good. And then it actually gets even like so much better. Like that wave does crash. Like that wave does come. But when you can start handling with that crash and start, you know, appreciating the crash and then start, you know, generating that momentum like a wave, that's momentum. And like, people,
absolutely.
Like we said earlier, man, we keep going. I just, on every podcast I have, I say, I'm like, we're going to have 10 minutes left and then we just chill for another half hour. But,
okay, I'll cut you off. 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah, cut me off, Ben. It's just like, you got to accept first. And like the Dalai Lama says, man, like compassion, number one. Like everyone's always suffering. So like
most important. Before,
like my judgment is always like in my heart, this whole conversation I've been screaming like, Ben, like, I hope you're doing so well, Ben. Like, I love you, Ben. Like, oh, I hope you're doing so well, Ben. Like, my heart is like, that's my inner dialogue for you, the whole conversation. That's my only intent. Podcast second, YouTube video third, the listeners here somewhere. But like, for me, it's you.
I appreciate that. But I know what you mean. And subconsciously, it happens in the same way for me. It's like, I just hope you're doing well. Like it's that simple. And it's kind of like the same thing when I have conversations with people and it's like, you know, you're having a connected conversation, but like ultimately I just like wonder like what's happening in your mind, you know,
yeah.
what's going on behind your part, behind your casing over there. What are you thinking about? So, yeah, man, I feel you. And it comes down to just doing things with an objective and being proud and happy with whatever you're doing. So if I was to say, you know, if I was to say anything more, it would just be like the energy that you have is one, super contagious, but it's also super powerful. So you should make sure that you keep that up, keep talking to as many people as you can, keep scaling, you know, this show, but keep scaling your energy too, because if you're only being selfish. You're being selfish because there's more people who need to be inspired and who need to feel good. And, you know, I'll tell you, I wasn't feeling 1,000% the last 24 hours. And I'm glad that we had this conversation. I just feel super hyped up. I'm super excited to go give my girlfriend a hug. I'm super excited to just keep smiling today because, like I said, there's no reason not to.
Thank you so much, bro, for spending the time with me. You're so inspirational.
My pleasure.
You always give me such a cool and fresh and practical perspective. You're a very practical person. You're on the ground. It's really cool. And just a new discovery that I want to share with you because you haven't seen the last podcast I recorded. Man, when you're vulnerable with your woman, she loves it, bro. She loves it. So go be as vulnerable as you possibly can with her. Tell her everything you want to tell her. Even if you think it's going to hurt her, it's going to be good. Trust me, it's going to be good for you.
I believe you. I know it. I don't believe you. I know it.
Perfect. Perfect.
I love it. I love it, bro. We got to do this again. We'll do it again.
Like I want to do seasons. So I'm going to have you on probably season 2 for like a rediscovery of where you're at and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. You have my people call your people or vice versa. And flash awesome. The blinkers when you're ready.
Cool,
and we'll do it big. I appreciate it, Phil, man.
It's been a pleasure talking to you as always. You're awesome. Where can we find you if the listener wants to reach out to you?
I'm on IG, on Instagram, ben.bright, BRIGHTT on Instagram. They didn't have Bright without 2 T's. I'm on Twitter a little bit. I don't even know what my Twitter handle is. It's I am Ben Bright, I believe.
You got good tweets.
Hit me up on Instagram. Yeah, hit me up on Instagram.
Hit him up on Instagram. And what's the EcoSmart website to order some straws?
EcoSmartUtensils.com. That's going to be changing to EcoSmart Supply Co. in, I would say, the next 2 weeks. So yeah, just hit me up on Instagram, or even follow EcoSmart Utensils on IG, and that will be changing to EcoSmart. What is it? Yeah, EcoSmart Supply Co. Excuse me. But yeah, follow me on my own Instagram, ben.bright, BRIGHTT, and we'll connect from there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ben. And as always, everyone, thank you for listening. I'm your host, Pax. You can find me at Pax Official, PAQS Official on Instagram. Shoot me a DM, ask me a question. I'm completely available. And as always, thanks to our guest. Thanks for listening to this episode. Let's manifest. Once again, thank you so much for spending time with us here today on the show. My name is Pax, and this is Manifested. If you enjoyed the episode, share this on your social medias. Let's raise the vibration of the planet together and manifest a new earth. If you want to reach out to me specifically, I'm available at Pax Official on Instagram, PAQS Official. I'd love to hear from you. Let's start a conversation. And as always, let's manifest. I'll see you next time.